And good morning to you. It's time for a rundown on some of our Alaska news for this Wednesday morning. It is March 8th, 2017, and it is an International Day for Women. They are planning a strike today across not just the country, around the world. And here in Fairbanks, they're having a couple of events, including a march at noon and I believe some kind of a meeting at 3:30 and then a potluck at 6 o'clock in the evening. All of this, of course, designed to show solidarity with women by not going to work, whether you have a paid job or an unpaid job. If you possibly can and you're a woman, you're advised to stay home today. If you absolutely cannot stay home, then you're advised to wear red or black in solidarity in this day without a woman. There was another carbon monoxide exposure incident in a Houston home on Monday night. Somebody recognizing, oh, dude, I have such a headache and I'm kind of confused. The dog is puking and this guy over here won't wake up. I need to call for help. Called a friend who came over, evaluated the situation, briefly realized, okay, carbon monoxide, opened the doors and windows, called for emergency. That person who was unconscious was flown out. Another couple of them were in very serious condition, almost critical. All 9 people suffering signs of carbon monoxide poisoning. And once again, they're advising folks to have working carbon monoxide detectors. This house did have carbon monoxide detectors. They weren't working. Have working carbon monoxide detectors in every floor of the home. And part of the issue, too, is that most of the time when you see these CO poisoning issues, they're happening during flu season. So people mistake the symptoms, the headache, the nausea. Oh, I must have the flu. No, you might actually have carbon monoxide poisoning. Be careful. There is a number of things that the EPA, of course, brings to Alaska, mostly grants and funding of studies in the tunes of millions of dollars, which now may be in jeopardy. There's a rundown on what Alaska stands to lose with the major cuts to the EPA budget that are being planned by President Trump. There's a Fairbanks man who got kicked out of a bar early Sunday morning who apparently didn't like that decision. On his way out, he broke a piece of paneling off the wall and struck a fire sprinkler system, which then sprayed water down the stairs, ended up covering the bar with 2 inches of standing water. He had a cab waiting outside, so he went running for the cab, but a bouncer took him down and held him until the police came. Over $1,000 in damages. A whole bunch of amendments, 243 being brought to the Alaska's budget work by Representative Tammy Wilson. Most of her amendments have to do with reducing the amount in these departments to the amount that they spent last year, actually spent, as a way of trying to trim the budget. Other members of the House are like, oh, it's going to take us a really, really long time to get, this is going to significantly delay our budget work. Also, there is a proposal in front of the Alaska Legislature that would actually make it illegal for police officers to have sex with people that they're investigating for sex crimes. I'm so reminded of 1984 right now. People don't realize it's actually legal for a police officer to make contact with a sex worker and investigate her or him for prostitution by engaging in it with them. Now, this new proposal, if passed, would make that officially illegal. Senator Click Bishop is proposing a new PFD lottery. Basically, for every $100 that you donate in the Click Give program, you'd be entered in for a lottery. Part of the money would be set aside out of these donations and then awarded out at the same time as the PFD. It's basically a voluntary tax, a way for folks to increase. They're going to tag it for education. It'd be interesting to see if it flies. There was a report on a sea lion that boarded a fishing boat and attacked a fisherman in Sand Point and apparently injured him quite severely. And they're saying that these sea lions are actually the garbage bears of the sea, and every one of these attacks is actually one about every year or so. It's normally happening from behind, so watch your back. And most of the time, the sea lion is grabbing somebody's butt and pulling him into the water. And this is one of the most severe injuries they've seen. The sea lion actually had the guy by the leg. It was dragging him into the water. So thankfully he escaped, but he did have a very serious wound. The downtown DMV office in Anchorage is going to be closing because of new efficiencies, not because of actual budget cuts. And the Salvation Army here in Fairbanks is having a fundraiser set for March 29th. You've got details in all of the links that I've got here below at my website, radiofreespeech.com. If you'd like to read more on any of these, you'll also notice a whole lot more links than the stories I just mentioned to you. The reason for that is that I do a 30-minute version of the news, both national and Alaska, that I email to my paid subscribers. You get a lot more news than you'll get anywhere else, and you've got all those links to show you where I got the information. That's what we got for today. If you like what I'm doing, please support me either through Patreon or by buying a subscription at radiofreespeech.com.